Okay, that should be working. Test that. You bet TV emotes are nice. Huh, I'll see the emotes. Hi, Mansworth. How you doing? Average person, Canny. Hello. How you doing? Hope everyone is well today. Just trying to make sure everything's up and running properly. Stream should be good. There you go. I uh I broke my wireless mics last week, and I was just trying to get the DJI ones to work, and it um did not want to work. So we're on a wide mic again. Got bamboozled by back-to-back ads. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I try and start the stream with enough time to let them run so that I'm not actually doing very much. But yeah, the only way of disabling them at this point is to stop being an affiliate. I think basically remove all that, and you get advantages of that. So yeah, okay. I guess I start to accept the fate that AI is just better than what I produce. But on the bright side, I can do now the strength and do the architecture while the sweet AI engineers developing. It can do things faster if it's got all the templates to build from, but be careful of what it builds. And use your knowledge and experience. It can't produce better. Nothing I've seen says it's better. You can code better, but it will outpace you for certain. um, Again, I find the most use from it in going back and forth. Like I've done some recent stuff with looking at architecture stuff and analyzing what I've done in Kaizu, analyzing other architecture styles, and I've asked it to develop a few templates for me. I've asked Copilot, I've asked Claude, I've asked um, Copilot commercial as well, um, uh, and I've had three different results for the same design, giving wildly different, um, and they work. They build, they would do the job, but when you start to look a little deeper, things are not always great. So always keep an eye on those things. Okay. So I got a little distracted over the weekend. I did try and start a game stream up, but I just got a little bit frustrated by the end, so the stream was very short. But what I did over the weekend using AI is where I don't necessarily care about the code quality as much, is I got the game stream stuff working where I can now do overlays on the stream, and you can ask what game I'm playing, you can ask for information on the games, and it'll hook in directly into game stack. So that was kind of fun. But I have a feeling that we will fall back to waterfall design with AI because they do well when everything is specified into all the detail. But how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, just a busy week already. Maybe good morning or good afternoon now for you, I suppose. Stop rattling. Something was rattling on my computer. I don't know what it was. Driving me crazy. Okay. Okay. So at the end of last week, let's make sure everything is up and running. At the end of last week, we had should be uh, this should be running. I definitely see where you're coming from with the fallback with the waterfall because again, it's just requirement, requirement, requirement. Oh, now I want this. Now I want this. It's very much the way that it works. But yeah, I see it. Hello. So let's see if this starts. So the irony of working on this right this second is I need to take some time and actually plan out what I'm doing next. Um, and on the waterfall topic, I've got ideas of what I want to do. It's just there's an amount of work to get there that I'm not always ready to do. So I've been distracted with other things. So right now I have very little planning in place for what comes next. I know where I'm heading overall, but I don't know what it is that I want to focus on. Come on. There we go. Okay. So last week we got the ability to track a deliverable and say, oh, this deliverable, we said it was with development, but we need to push it back to planning or to ready for review. We need to talk about that more. We can't actually pick it up yet. That will move that back to ready for review. And we can say GitHub integration. Let's move that. Oh, why is that over there? That's like that's padding, isn't it? Oh, interesting. Let's have a look at that title. Uh, GitHub integration. So why all of a sudden is that flexed out over there then? Interesting. I'm doing good today. I'm doing good. I've got a bit of a chaotic day ahead of me, but I figured I'd do some of this morning. Let myself relax a little bit. Don't panic. Panic is wasted. That's interesting. Why does that do that? Let's ask. Um, no, let's not do it that way. Remove them. I should have done safe delete. Okay. This is header padded, and then we're going to go here and use that version. Polyglot OpenStreetMap. Thank you for the follow. I'm going to go here. This is header non-padded. Okay. And then it's going to say, can you take it? I've just done a Claude prompt over here. Never a good time to panic. Uh, header non-padded and header. What am I okay with here? I'm okay with that being over there. Let me see if I can do that. So maybe, maybe we can hope, right? So yeah, we worked on this last week to get this moved over so that you can move something for planning. The idea being that as a product manager sat down with the team, you go through this, you say, okay, do you agree with all the requirements? Yeah, can we leave it with you? Yes. Okay, let's move it to with development, right? So they can move it with development. If this isn't ready, if this is not what is expected, this can be moved back to planning, right? And now that disappears from here, so the deliverable is moved back to planning. So we can um, hey, Billy, how you doing? Welcome in YouTube. Unfortunately, I cannot get Restream to join the chats anymore, so I apologize. But welcome in. Um, so I will try and make sure I keep an eye on the chats appropriately. Yeah. So um, yeah, the idea is the product manager will sit down and say, "Hey, are you ready to take this?" The development team can add some tasks. They might size them there. They might not do. That's perfectly fine. Um, and what they'll do is they will okay, there we go. That's better. What they'll do is they'll then say, okay, yeah, let's move that to with development. So the development team can now say, hey, these are things that we need to be doing, and it would only be your team that things that your team would see that exist in here. So that's perfectly fine. And now you might go through and task it out more. You might actually do that, but from the product perspective, they understand that this is with you as a team. Marcy, hello, how you doing? The focus being where is something should not be something you have to ask. It should be something you can see pretty clearly. Once they begin tasking this out, the backlog will collect. And I'm still debating whether I want to arrange this in some specific way. Um, right now, there's no priority, right? You can see the critical tag. These tags are based upon actual review date to um, time. These are not fully calculated yet. They're an idea, but basically they're saying, "Hey, this review date was past due. It's actually critical. We need to look at this." The problem is that you might end up with like the review date is to focus your energy on that particular thing. So it's a prioritization thing for the product manager. This risk is actually based off of the expected timeline of the initiatives as well. So if the timeline, it's a rough calculation right this second with an intended indicator to tell people, hey, this matters. That isn't one of the things I'm trying to avoid is manual prioritization because everything becomes high priority, right? When people panic, to Kenny's point. Why is that showing that? Syncing. That's interesting. That is interesting. So yeah, that's the goal there. If you are new to the stream, if you've never seen this before, this is Kaizu. This is my product management and planning application that I've been building for a while. It's all me from the ground up. Um, and the idea is that it's aimed at trying to make sure that the um, where work is and where work is sitting is transparent to everyone without constant disturbances and communication required. Um, so that is the idea. Delta, good morning. As long as it's syncing and not thinking, you're fine. There is that, yes. Because we have milestones, and a lot of the time the milestones task block each other, and multiple projects on top of that. Yeah. Um, let's see what it does with that. So yeah, this is Kaizu. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, what you see, etc., you're more than welcome to ask. This is a diagram I often use on stream to demonstrate what Kaizu really is. So underneath, there's a lot of services, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of events going on. So I'm happy to talk about it. It is not open source, but again, I'm happy to talk about it on stream. And there is a Discord channel in the cards below, both on Twitch and on YouTube. And you're more than welcome to join the Discord if you want to ask questions or even share your own projects. In review detail, the H1 had flex one on the action group, lived in the same row as just the title, so the flex one always pushed the action group to the far right edge. Because the row only contained the title, the group was vertically aligned to just the title line, leaving it stranded in the top right corner with the description flowing underneath. That's the floating you saw. Most obvious when the title is short. Okay, so let's see what it did to the header now. There we go. That looks more consistent. Yeah, that's much better. Hold on. Why does that look like? I don't have any tools installed. That looks like that's not a line though. Let's answer that question. So yeah, we have this. So the next task. So you can't move this to in progress because in progress is a state that is dealt with by these. So when the tasks are moved to in progress on an assignment on a deliverable, then the deliverable will shift to in progress. That's the design. Okay. Deliverables. Tony, hello. How you doing? 3 streams. Nice. Thank you. Um, uh, we need something else on there. Backlog, the goal. Um, so that should be top of line now. So that should be consistent. That looks much better. This text could span, which means this was floating in the middle, which means this would just shift all over the place. So now that's consistent. Sleepy. I'm okay. I had an early start, got up, put the things on a wander before 6. So quite a nice start to the day. We need to show the goal of the deliverable in the implementation deliverable screen. It should be above the requirements. Look exactly. Just have it do that way too early. Yeah. So let's see if I have any commits to do. No, everything's pushed. So the next task is to get this Go for 5. Yeah. Um, I don't enjoy getting up super early, but it is what it is. Uh, so the next task is to, when we move a deliverable to in progress, well, when we move sorry, not a deliverable, a task to in progress, the deliverable for which that's attached shifts from whatever state it's in to in progress. And we can't move it out of in progress. Does that sound like a right rule? We can't go back to planning because it's in progress. So the only way it could do that is if there was no task actually in progress, and then it would be just with teams. So the way we do that is, I think, so that this is an interesting one. Okay. The deliverable is in the planning section. The task is in the tasking section because the deliverable, the task has nothing to do with this. This is ultimately going to get called implementation, right? Um, ah, that'll make more sense then. Um, that screen's going to read a bit different in a second. The problem is vertical. Never mind. So this is implementation. This really aligns to this behavior, right? So it's everything in here. Now, deliverables here is just a view um, to provide that overlap between the two teams or the two sides of the team, right? The planning and the implementation sides. Implementation, development teams, DevOps teams, DBAs, etc. Those would be the implementation teams. The planning teams would be the product management, right? So that is an overlap between the two, whereas this is all tasks. Should I go to the gym? Yes. As much as I would love you to stick around and hang around my stream, um, that's good for you. So you should do it. So that's much better for you than hanging around, sitting watching me stream, both mentally and physically. Uh-oh. Nope, health is important. It'll get your day started or get your day working well. So you're halfway through your day, so yeah. If you're choosing this stream over going and getting exercise, I would rather have zero viewers than a bunch of viewers that are sat here not doing what they need to do. So yes. So we have a challenge here because tasks lives in implementation. Again, this should get renamed implementation soon. Planning should be has the deliverables, right? Because that's all part of what is being planned, not what is being done. Um, there you go. Goal. Um, um, okay, yeah, the goal. Um, so the idea here is that it keeps you focused on what it is you're trying to do, right? That's the goal of this deliverable, right? I should be able to transition the initiative to committed, right? That's not what that is, but yeah. I need that. We'll get that cardio. So that's why that's important there. If I move it above, and which it was like layered as a description, it's going to get ignored. Here we have a goal. The point is that at every level, this is the business objective of the initiative, and initiatives, individual deliverables within an initiative have a goal, right? That is the that is the goal. I don't think you can. Yeah, we've got to talk about that one as well. Yeah. So this should be something that the team, as they're planning this, should keep in mind, right? This is the goal of this deliverable. So are we drifting off task? Are we trying to do too much? Yeah. So one note for your eyes on check. I matched the planning screen's plain text rendering. Your markdown for rich text convention would suggest a markdown component here, but planning uses plain interpolation. So using it would make the two screens render differently if a description contains markdown. Um, yeah, it doesn't contain markdown, it's fine. Organize deliverable implementation screen, move the state and badge to the right. Title, commit push that one. My hot take, I'd rather have no power but no internet. You still don't have internet? I can go tomorrow. I witnessed it. That sounds like a bit of bargaining going on, maybe. Oh, okay. You finally got it back. Phew. Commit anyway and push. You figured out how to use those shovels properly. You sound exactly like calling. Well, if I go today, I'm obligated to stream tomorrow. You're never obligated to stream. Well, does that mean you're obligated to stream today? Or is it because I'm streaming give you that pass? Really, I get 3/4 in and realize I read this article 2 years ago. Can't have made that big an impact. It's an odd day. There are huge holes in my neighbour's yard. The shovels work. Good for them. Okay. Tuesdays and Thursdays I can't stream. Fair enough. They're odd days. Okay. So this is where we get into a little bit of eventing with this system. Um, so when the um, subscribers, when the deliverable status is updated, right? We already deal with updating the initiative with because the initiative lives inside this. Can't even. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are even days, unless you start the week on a Monday, in which case Tuesday and Thursday are even days. So how are you measuring days? Actually, not like odd even. I'm confused. I can't explain what I mean. Fair enough. They're odd. They're just weird days. Tuesdays and Thursdays just sound weird. Fair enough. We won't judge you. Okay. So what I don't know here is what the status has changed from to, but I don't necessarily care. I just need to know that it changed, right? All the cool streamers are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Ah, I got it. Okay. Oh, I missed that memo. Oh well. I'll just continue on my Tuesdays and Thursday streams then. Sundays, yeah, that's what I thought you meant. But what if you start the week on a Monday? Like you start counting because different countries do actually start that differently. Now I need to know. Sunday is 0, Monday is 1. So by that rule, um, Tuesdays and Thursdays are even by .NET uh, enums. Okay, so I published the integration deliverable updated, right? Deliverable updated is the name of published deliverable. It publishes this, right? And it does have in it the state. One indexing on Sundays is that a week is weird. There, I said it. But that comes from planning. Tasks now needs to when a task changes to in progress, the deliverable needs to change, right? Because its progress, its status needs to change because it's going to move it to in progress. So we need a new project. Don't really bully me. Well, that's unacceptable. Weekdays are not programming numbers. Says who? Anyway, so we're going to create a new project. Planning receivers. So when a task changes, it's going to publish an event, all right, to Kafka. The planning system now needs to receive that to react to that change because now the planning component says, "Oh, a task changed to in progress. Um, do I have any? Do I have any um, deliverables for that task? Yes, I do. Okay, let's assess it and shift the task, the deliverable to the right status. Right. So a little bit convoluted, but it is fine. Uh, Planning receiver source. That's fine. I don't think I organized them differently. 101. Open in Explorer. Yes, everything's just at the root level there. It's fine. So in here, we're going to create a receiver for an event, and that event is going to be I recently saw a design that I'm actually contemplating here. So right now, Foundation contains a lot of the events. JD, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Would you be the same person who was on YouTube? Um, Unfortunately, Restream refuses to join the chats anymore, so you can't. It completely removes the connected nature of the streams. So let's push that. Get that off the machine. Now I'm new. Okay. Welcome in. Um, I saw a design basically showing that if you have a contracts library, then when you need to receive events from another thing, you just reference that library's contracts. But the way that I do it right now is using Foundation and all the events go in Foundation so that the system can understand them, which maybe isn't great, but what it does achieve is um, when we have Control Tower, these shared events are actually available. So Control Tower can listen to the same Kafka system and receive those events. So Control Tower can react to things changing. Um, you get maybe stopping talking to your module. So yeah, that's the benefit there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a directory configuration. um, as you are new, if there's any questions, thoughts, opinions you have about the stream, about the content, about the code, whatever you want to say, you're more than welcome to join in the conversation. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Uh, um, and I'm happy to share. Kaizu is there's a lot of code, there's a lot of pieces to this. What I'm working on right now is I have an event happening in here that needs to be received in here, so the thing that's attached to can decide if it needs to change anything. So yeah, well, welcome in, Shady. Um, uh, you and Dota are on the same side for this. Is that really a win? Boy, come on. You lot are funny today. Um, so we're gonna need mediator. We're gonna need Kafka. So we're now a new receiver here. So I'm gonna just copy that over right a second. See what that looks like. Asks planning integration. Password's fine. ls planning. Just a piece of software. This is I'm developing an application for project management and planning. Um, I'm one of I'm one of the rare non-game streamers on Twitch. Apparently, um, there's very few of us anymore. um, Unity and Godot have taken over. Yeah, it's a website application. Um, it's not an app in that form. It's not a phone app. It's an application that's built for planning. Um, there will be mobile friendly views eventually for what you need to do, but it is not. This is aimed at uh, organizations that have teams to do what they need to do, and it is a product management tool. So, um, yeah. Are you a student, professional developer? Where are you in your software journey? Will help me guide that a little bit. Do you know what works on a phone? You just don't want to do too much of it on the phone. Junior. Okay. So if you've used any tools to track what work you're doing, whether you use Jira or whatever, the idea here is the organization can lay down, hey, here's what we want to do, here's the initiatives we want to track, etc. And thank you, Stoney. And if you like application development, maybe he's definitely good to follow. He works on Barely Fit, which is a great health and fitness application, and does stream that. Um, Apparently not on Tuesdays and Thursdays though. So yeah, the idea is the organization is able to build out initiatives. These are here's what we want to build, and here's the things we want to work on. The deliverables are then tracked in here. As a product manager, you would be tracking, hey, here's what we need to do to build this thing out. When it's ready for planning, it can move through a planning phase and into the actual implementation of for the developer to work on. And then ultimately, you can track things through to release, and they're able to say, hey, these are the things we're going to put in this next release. Let's do it. And here's when we target going live. So that is the overall quick rundown of what Kaizu does. But if you have questions about the software, the design, anything about it, you're more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to talk about it. The stream is not about me coding necessarily. It is about being able to share, building something that's realistic on stream. Okay. You guys are having some fun today. Maybe what? Mode with bullying you. Nah, doesn't have it in him. I hope you're not out of a good mood, but daughter. Frank, by the way, my apologies. Hello. I did see you say hello. I don't think I acknowledged that. Thank you very much. Um, Sorry. The chat is moving a little faster for my focus today. But welcome in. Watching a real developer. Am I though? If I'm focused on something else, and I don't acknowledge it, then it triggers. I apologize. Um, you could consider it rigged. um, um, okay, so we need to do Kafka configuration. So what I call configurations here are basically extension methods so that I can make this a little bit more readable. So the program is broken up a little bit more appropriately. So we're going to do these same things. We're going to add these anyway. We're going to do this. Can you do this? This would be awesome if I can do that. No, you can't do that. Oh, that'd be awesome. Why? UD develop. It looks like I've got a lot more stuff in there than I want to have in there, but that's fine. So services brings abstractions and extensions, outbox. Postgres. Come on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create this receivers package on the planning side. Maybe enjoy your workout. Take care and see you next time, whether it be your stream or my stream. So the receivers here are going to look for the event for the task being updated. When they see the task being updated, they're going to say, oh, has the status changed? Yes, it has. It's marked as in progress. Okay, what's the current status of the deliverable? If the deliverable is with development, then it'll move it to in progress. If it's anything else, it won't touch it because there's no point screwing around with it because you don't want it to go into planning or like be dragged back to planning to then be moved to in progress, right? So it won't affect it if it's not in with development, but if it is with development, then it will move it to in progress. So that's the simple. Um, I won't say time saver there, but why is Kafka configuration console? Oh, it is. It is there. Dorp. Okay, so that's that. Got some implicit. When was the last time you used recursive CTEs in a task? Recursive CTEs. Um, I don't think I have. Yeah, I know what CTEs are. Um, I've to be honest, I've only in the last year or two actually started looking at CTs. Um, maybe the last year. I find them very useful, but recursive CTs? Hmm, I don't know. I forgot to drink my hot chocolate, and it's now not hot chocolate. Yeah. Nope. Nope. Not stunning. Okay, so I'm basically going to copy these across because for the most part they are uh, equal and refactor them. Oh, 1 second. I need to be right back. I'm back. That moment when you sat there and realised I didn't put the bin to the curb this morning. Okay, so we are going to add mediator source generator, and we don't need validators, so that's fine. And we need mediator outbots. TBD develop mediator. Whether mediator was a good idea with outbots, I don't know, but it works for me. Gives me the eventing model that I want. And outbots Postgres. So what that gives me is the ability for things that come in through the receivers to also trigger events and stuff and get published. Also average. What have you used recursive CTs for? How much have you used CTs in general? Why did I need to go? uh, Hilarious. Mock my accent. Planning DB context. Reference planning infrastructure. interview prep stuff. Ugh. So we're going to get the database, and repository here is an Ardalis specification piece. It's not a repository I'm wrapping around DB context, just in case that upsets anyone. Import missing references. There you go. Never. Okay. Do that right a second, because that's pretty much identical. Do that. We need to reference app post service defaults. App database. No. Add, refactor, adjust namespaces. Yeah. Okay, so we'll worry about them in a those don't need to be dealt with. Of course, I picked the one of the most complicated pieces to do that with. That's fine. Don't need workflows, add a reference allocation. What the heck is add reference? Oh, that sounds weird because that sounds like a programming term that's mixed in. We'll fix that later. We'll remember that. So the goal of this is receivers. We need to figure out what event we now need. So events, integration. So the task integration event is going to arrive. That does have on it a requirement identifier. No, requirements live in planning. Yeah, requirements live in planning. So if it has a requirement identifier, we can get to its deliverable. So a task is never assigned to a deliverable, it's assigned to a requirement and a requirement task. So you can have tasks that do not have anything, in which case those events are just going to get flipped straight out. Like, okay. So what we need to do here is, in our receivers, we need a task. It's our standard here. Receivers, tasks, project receiver, what are we going to view? View infrastructure receivers, task receiver. Okay. And yeah, this will receive the task at almost the same time the view does it. But it's not going to change the task, right? All it's going to do here is base its decision off of the task. So task receiver, we're going to need iSender. This is an event receiver of type task integration event, right? And what this will do is if event dot requirement identifier is null, then it's going to return, right? Otherwise, it's going to go and load up the deliverable by the requirement identifier and verify. Actually, we can shortcut that even more. So this is what I was pausing at the beginning of the stream, or earlier in the stream, not beginning. I have a state, right? The task status, so the task, this will get renamed state eventually. The task state is held within the task domain. I can't reference the task domain from within my planning application, right? So the way I saw this done is by creating a contracts folder on the actual module. So there'd be planning contracts, and that can be shared between. And I apologize for the light that's shining down the front of my face if you see it. I apologize, but I can't do much about it. Stupid blinds. So right now, this gives me a bit of a dilemma because I can't reference. I can't reference task state to understand to be able to strongly type that. So I can't say, oh, is the status task status dot backlog or in progress, etc. So I literally have to develop to build it around the in blah, 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 blah. I have to build it around the string. However, I do have a type, but where do I make that publicly available so it can be shared between other things? Hmm. I think I'm going to punt on that for right a second. Um, or event dot status not equal to in progress, right? Because the task might have changed other states, right? So if it's changed other states, we don't really care, right? Um, because this is a bigger challenge. We're going to base the state of the deliverable off of a single task, which does feel kind of wrong. Um, so if a task state gets updated and it doesn't get dealt with in here, then the status of the deliverable could get stuck somewhere. So is that going to happen? Is that likely to happen? If I don't check, if it's not in progress, I don't care. Throw it out, right? If it is in progress, then if the deliverable for which this task is attached is in with development, then this becomes in progress. It can't move back to in development unless it can never move back to with development. Even if this task gets paused, it'll be in progress. Is that what I want? So if I start a task associated, so let's say I start disable ad button when initiative is cancelled. That moves to in progress. This deliverable moves to here. I then withdraw that task and say, no, we can't actually work on that task right now. We've moved it to in development. We cannot move it back. That's probably not what I want to do. Do I have enough information here to make this decision? Hmm. That is the question I'm asking right a second. That also needs to be larger, but that's fine. The font. if I move this automatically, anything that moves it to in progress, if it's already with development, it will move it to in progress. If I move it out of in progress, then it's stuck with in progress. And if we start taking, so ideal world, um, ideal world, the um, the work goes forward and it all gets worked on and everything's fine and everything's well understood and we progress. The reality is development teams sometimes take on work that they shouldn't take on because they don't have enough requirements, they don't have everything they need, they think they do, potentially, and they just move something forward. And then they'll realize, oh, like now, if I'd have taken on this task, if I'd have moved this story forward, I'm like, oh, I don't have an answer for what I actually want to happen here. Right? The problem is I am figuring this out on the fly, right? Because I'm seeing the problem in front of me. Um so what? He's totally right. I took too much hay on my fork. It won't happen again. um So the development team say, "Hey, we are missing something here. We have to stop work on this thing and move it back, and it needs further work." Right? This happens. If I proceed with what I'm about to do here, there's not. You can't do very much. You good, dog? I'm sorry, buddy. Good. Got Loki laying on my foot. No, they're good. They enjoyed their morning walk and yeah. Please don't. I've got trucks for my internet company sat outside my house right now. That's a worrying sign. um, this might actually be one of the first times where I actually need to collect the planning. Um, uh, yeah, I think I need to do this. I think what has to happen here is this is a case where I need to know what the status of all the tasks are in for this deliverable for this requirement and for this deliverable, right? What are the statuses so that I can correctly update the planning side of things. To do that, I'm going to have to track that data. And the only way I can track that data is if I also have some information on that thing. I don't want to query tasks, right? I don't want to base my decision off of, hey, tasks, do you have this yet? Or, hey, I don't want to build APIs between these things, right? That's not something I'm interested in doing. Um, and I don't want to hold enough information in tasks about the planning stuff to be able to publish the event because ultimately I still need to change the planning side of things. So this is the right direction. The only difference is we're going to store the task identifier and the requirement identifier and the state. Last update or something. So we're going to hold that information and that will allow us to make an informed decision as to what state we can move this to. So if none of the tasks associated with the requirement are in progress, then the item by default will move back to in progress, back to with development, which will allow it to be moved back out of the process. If one of them is in progress, you cannot move it. Right. So again, focusing very much on that, letting the system represent the state of the application of the data of the system overall is very important to me. So you start work on something, this will move over here. You stop working on all those items because they're completed, that's a different challenge. But well, if any of them are in progress, it will be in progress. If none of them are in progress, but none of them are complete, but they're not complete, then it will move back to a development. If it's completed, then you can't ever move back to a development, right? Because it's got work that needs to be completed. Eh, we'll worry about the refinement of that rule later. But ultimately, the idea is it should show, hey, we've got some stuff done, but it's not possible. It's back to a development. We can't do anymore. So let's move it back, and we can have this discussion. This moves it back to a controllable state. If I leave it over here, I can't control it by my own rules. So, yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to proceed with. So we're going to store every task in planning, but only the basic information, right? Because it's the associated information that we need to make a decision on. So as events fire, these will get updated anyway. So this is part of it. We need to create a new table in the LS database. This is tasks represents. Actually, before I do this, let's verify I haven't done some form of this already. Liquid Sky Dev, this window. And again, if you are new to the stream, if you have any thoughts, questions, opinions on what I'm doing, you are more than welcome to join in. You're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm happy to share. Doesn't matter whether you've been doing this, for years yourself or you're new to the things. You are more than welcome to ask questions, and I'm happy to try and share what I do and how I do it. So we're going to have a version of tasks in LS Planning. And the reason being, we need at least the basics of the information to understand what state the deliverable overall is in. And that is owned by this planning piece because there's no better place to do that, because we need to change the planning, the deliverable itself in reaction to a state change on the task. So yeah, tasks and represents the. And right now, that's the information I know about. That's the information I know I care about. I need to know what requirement it has, and I'll only store tasks in here that have requirements, which makes sense. Um, so we have task integration event, last updated. So at that point, there's no word for that other than task, right? So it's just what we represent as task. Yeah, I have no better. Requirement tasks would cloud it too much, right? Um, it would make it a lot harder to figure out. So yeah, I'm gonna have task. I've got Claude training away on building a script for that one right this second. That's one of the things I find the most useful for. Rename deliverable status to state, and a task table is not yet existing. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's like planning doesn't have tasks yet. Yeah, I know. GUID task identifier, public, GUID. I might want to change that to an integer. I might need to do the acquire. Actually, I might do it that way. Let's see what table it gives me. String state, public unit version, um, and public date time. The version will help us track to see if we actually line up with what the current version of the task is. So, yeah, let's see what table it creates for us. So I had Claude compress all the migrations that I'd done over the GitHub integration stuff into a single, into updating the base database scripts, and then reset the migrations, but it kept the migration numbering. So every time I run it to tell it, hey, um, create a new script, it's like, oh, well, let me check. And oh, you've got 46 of these. Oh, that's already been merged. I've checked. I'm like, you check every single time now. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to tell it. You do realize you've, yeah, done this. Um, no. Yeah, two dogs, Loki and Taylor. They sit under my desk on a bed. Um, Script, almost right. Read a requirement ID. Uh, they have many names. Yes. Um, some of them actually good as well. Average, are you Neymar in the Discord by any chance? Requirement ID. So, okay, so that table will be being created right a second. That's going to have requirement ID. It's going to have an ID. Put an int on that for me. Public int ID. I believe. Now the table is created. So refresh. Tasks. So ID, identifier, requirement ID. That's identifier, requirement ID, state, version, and last updated, which is nullable, which is not nullable, will not equals. Right. Okay. This is one of those moments where I'm questioning whether I need to do a little bit more work with Claude to kind of align, hey, here's the actual design. I think it will help me. I'm using Claude primarily because it gives me a lot of um now that's ambiguous, that's funny. So what I do here is we just using system task equals system dot birding dot task dot task. And we do that. That should fix that. No, we need that entire line. Um, Ultimately, I might come up with a better word for the name task, but we even call it task when we're talking about it in Jira. So, uh, yeah, all my unit tests. Oh, this one's a little easier. I don't like doing this, but it's because when you do it this way, when people read the code, they think system task is some sort of weird wrapper around. Um, but it's the problem we're using reserved words or framework structures. Um, the name. But yeah, it doesn't help readability because your immediate assumption is, oh, these weirdos created a custom structure around tasks that we thought they were being clever. Or maybe that's just my reaction to some of those stuff. But yeah, it's jeez, it's more tasks than I thought I had. Task, replace all, replace all. I'm sure there's way quicker ways of doing this. Well, system task is an alias because I'm using the word task to describe something, and it conflicts with threading tasks. So I just have um, a using for that piece. Um, I'm not sure if there's a better pattern available for that to do that. If I'm honest, it probably is, but I'm not going to spend a long time going hunting down different techniques for how to do that. So I could rename my type to be more clear or alias my type, but then if I'm aliasing my type, why don't I rename my type, right? So a task is a task. Um, Trying to use the language of the domain sometimes doesn't lie. We um, I've it's funny in pretty much every industry I've worked in, there's been some sort of conflict on naming with the framework or the language we're using. Um, yeah. So the idea here is this will receive. That's funny that doesn't have the issue right this second, but yeah. What we'll do is in application here, publishers, releases, deliverables. So this will um, this is a bit of a different one because it's not actually going to be update task details. It's actually going to be the command we send. Public record, uh, update task. Public record command. Oh, this is going to be GUID, environment identifier, string state, uint, version, datetime, last updated, I command. When I'm receiving these things, I don't have any way of reacting to the fact that it might have failed or not, so I don't tend to return a response there. This is the handler and has a repository of task where that is not system task. So the beauty is they introduced a value task in in .NET a few versions ago, and which is a bit more efficient. So Mediator library uses value task. Basically, it won't allocate something if there's nothing to return. So it'll kind of clean it out. At build time, it'll clean it out. Um, Not at build time. Yeah. However, man, I just know it's a little bit more efficient. So there's our command handler, and then what we're going to do here is we're not going to do much more because we are out of time. Um, Tuesday, that's German. Well, I guess we're just finishing up here today. Thanks for the look, Frank. I appreciate it. Enjoy your breakfast. So that we can get away with for a second. We can't because that's that. Using planning domain dot entities. We'll go with that for the second. My stream streak has been broken so many times. Mr. Van Horn, good morning. How you doing? I hope you're well. Appreciate you are very busy. Not like I do those nice, easy evening streams anymore either. I might consider doing them again soon. Task receiver. So this will need to find the task by. This is an interesting one. Identifier. Actually, no, it's not. It's not that difficult. Or is it? um, the DNS for our production environment with zero downtime. Oh, nice. Always good when that goes smooth. Um, task. Yeah. Task. This is going to be an interesting trigger. So what this is going to do is say, hey, do we have the task? No. Okay, register it. Then it's going to publish the fact that the task was updated as a domain event internally, which is then going to allow us to react to that happening rather than doing it in here. I'll have to think about that one. I'll have to think about it because I think it's a little bit too obscure. So I could use a subscriber here and do task, like task assigned to release here is fine. Um, that's interesting. Task assigned to release. Yeah. So I could react to it here as an event, but then why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this to register the fact that the task exists and I can update the state. So now I can't make a decision based upon the state of one task because that task might move to back from in progress to backlog, right? But the other tasks in the associated with the deliverable might not. So I need to say, hey, any tasks uh, in progress? If they are, then don't touch it. So yeah, this is probably the only way I really do this. I'm going to also have to seed the data, so I'm going to have to use my um, tool to populate this information so that I have all the data so I can move this forward. So there's quite a bit more to do. But it is 8:30. I must get ready for work. I have a busy day ahead of me. So I don't see anyone to raid. I'm not raiding into game streams anymore unless I know the people really well. Props is doing German. It's Tuesday. Props is doing app dev, but it's in German on Tuesday. That's not really yeah. Wednesdays is English language there, so I don't want to raid into a German language stream. So I guess I'm just going to finish up here. Um, I will be back on Thursday. I'm going to get this working if I can to get this done. So again, the idea is that when a task moves to in progress, this will shift over here, and then based upon the update of any task, this might move back to with development if no tasks are in progress. So we can move this deliverable automatically. It can never be dragged here. It can never be shifted to there. It can only be moved back. It cannot move forward there because that's a calculated state to go in progress. But the idea is showing from a product team, right? And that's why these in progress ones will happen here. These deliverables, this is the developer view. This screen will actually show the same similar thing in this format. What's in progress? Um, and yeah, okay. So yeah, well, I'm going to get going. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Take care, all. Thank you for joining me.